Alrighty, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Wildcard Weekend in the NFL, and we got a show for you planned today. And I got my co-host here, Ian. Ian, how are you this evening?
I'm all right, man. It's a day of mourning out here in Seattle. I'm drinking a toast to my coach. Can't see it because of my backdrop. But old Pete Carroll got fired today, so I am in major bummer mode. So.
Yeah, that's. I texted you when I saw it, and I was like, "That's not good. You don't want to see that come through." But RIP. Hopefully, I guess they'll turn it around for your Seahawks. John Seahawks as well. He was the first one here. What's going on, John? Hopefully, you're doing well.
Give him a little credit. He does like your Eagles too.
He does. I think there's some echo coming through on your side, but it is what it is.
It is on my side.
Yeah.
See if I can.
But John's Eagles, my Eagles. We'll get to them very shortly. But Ian, Wild Card Weekend, right? We do this show every time coming up to the playoffs. And last year we were pretty spot on for all of our selections. So hopefully we'll continue again this year. But let's get into the discussion here, right? But first we got to talk about ourselves a little bit, right? I think that's important. So obviously, Ian and I were at the Seattle Eagles game together. So there's that picture for anyone who wants to see it. But Ian. First place in the pick'em. You know what you're doing, don't you?
You know, blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while. It's like, it's the best part about that was it was such a big lead at the end. I was joking around with people because I had a 10-game lead on you. And it was like, I almost felt like making it close and like throwing the last week. But then Jen was talking it up. So, no, it was a good year, man. You and I, pretty much from week one, I won the first week. And you were in second the first week. And I think the whole time we were first or second. I think at one point you might have dropped down to third, but then came right back up to second. So it was a good time. I'm glad we got into it with Jen. Except for John out there. John, he struggled mightily. We appreciated his $35 donation to the cause, didn't we?
It came through nicely. But you were in first. Didn't look back. There was a couple times where I was in second most of the year. Dropped back a couple times into third, but like only I was tied for second, whatever you want to call it. I was in third on the tiebreaker. Bunch of garbage time. It doesn't matter. It all matters when you finish at the end. I had one really bad week though that dropped me down to third. I don't know. It's just I couldn't make a pick to save my life that week. But I mean, you're hitting like what 60-something% for the year.
I think I'm close, 69% or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in like mid 60s. So I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So we know what we're talking about, and today we're gonna go over obviously all the matchups. For the Wild Card Weekend this week. So we'll break down the AFC, the NFC, all that kind of stuff. But off the bat, Ian, game you're most excited for up on the screen right now. Which one?
Well, I mean, I like the Kansas City-Miami game. Problem is, it's going to be cold. Miami's got 9 starters hurt, whatever it is, So I'm taking that one off the books. The next one that I'm most excited to see, to be honest with you, I want to see what the rookie does. I want to see Stroud against Cleveland. I think that's going to be sure, you could say the Lions playing, the Rams. There's that, let's swap quarterbacks background on it. But overall, man, I'm looking forward to the first game. Texans versus the Browns. Let's get it on. Strap it up.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, it's funny. Going through the, when I was looking at the slate and everything, I'm like, all right, we got some good stuff coming through here. There's some good games. First game that stood out to me, obviously, Kansas City Dolphins, right? I was like, this is going to be a good game. And then I was like, not the game I'm most excited for, though, right? Then I went through the same thing. Lions, Rams. I was like, good game. Will it be a good game? Absolutely. Is it the game I'm most excited for? No. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're excited for the Eagles game. No, I really don't care about that game, I'll be honest with you. I don't even want to watch that game. I'm going to watch it, obviously. I'm going to have a party and everything, but I'm not going to be happy. But I am in the same boat. The Browns-Texans game to me is the game that I want to watch. It's like, to me, it's the quintessential like NFL matchup. The rookie QB against the seasoned Super Bowl champ vet in Joe Flacco, right? Like, and the other thing with this is, right, it's two teams that we're not really talking about at this time of the year usually. The thing we're talking about with these two teams is which coach is getting fired, who's their next coach, what move are they making? And now we're talking about, offensive rookie of the year, CJ Stroud, and Joe Flacco's comeback, basically. I'm excited for this one. So I guess we have a common ground there on the game we're most excited for, and least excited for. Which game? I think I know, but
Cowboys. Anytime you're talking Cowboys, I could care less about the Cowboys. Although their defensive coordinator might be moving to Seattle pretty quickly, especially if I have my vote on it. That's where I'd like it to be. But, the Pittsburgh game, too, is going to be a boring game as well. I mean, even if they start Pickett or if they start Rudolph, that's going to be a boring game. You know what I mean? But I really like the Joe Flacco story. His guy in his mid-50s. I'd love to hear about pull the guy off of the scrap heap. Today on the Pat McAfee show, they were seeing if J.J. Watt would come out of retirement and play one game for his brother. So for us to them, and it was pretty funny to watch that. But, Dallas is, I've always been an anti-Dallas guy. Anybody that around me will tell you that. So, and I would have loved to play Dallas again in Dallas, and Seattle would have won that. If Green Bay would have lost that game against Chicago, we would be doing the same thing. So, it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that game to me, I'm interested to see how the Packers do. I don't think they're going to do very well. They're all hyped up. Layla, what do you want? You got to get off, okay? You got to get off. Go back to mom.
Playtime.
Yeah, right. Packers have been doing well recently. Everyone's hot on them. I don't think they're that good. I mean, I think the Cowboys are going to win that game in very world or whatever. But game I'm least excited for is definitely the Steelers-Bills game. I don't even know why they're going to play the game, if I'm honest with you. I don't think they have to play the game. We'll go over, all the stats and matchups and all that garbage in a little bit in that game. That's why I'm calling it garbage. The Steelers have no business being there, especially with T.J. Watt being gone. I mean, Josh Allen's going to have a field day. Steelers, you can put whoever you want at quarterback. You can take Tom Brady out of retirement and put him at quarterback with that team. They're not going to do anything. They're just they're brutal. So all right.
They beat the Seahawks by running the ball. They ran over 200 yards against the Seahawks, and it looked terrible. Sitting there watching that game in the stands. I've never been so ticked off in my life. But that's all they got. They got Warren and they got Harris. And everybody thinks Carl Pickens is like the next stalwart. Give me a break, man. I don't think that kid's got that kind of talent.
No, he doesn't. He's also got an ego issue. And I mean, listen, Kenny Pickett is, I don't know how he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, I'll be honest with you. Rudolph is a backup. That's what he is, right?
Third string backup, too. Third string.
So, that game's not enticing to me at all, but we'll discuss that. So let's pop into the games, and I guess our most exciting game is the Browns and the Texans. You got the fifth seed Browns getting that wild card spot. 11-6, good season from them. Deshaun Watson, quarterback in the beginning. Then they had, little injury issues. Then they had another quarterback. And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco, resurrected, coming back, up against the Texans with C.J. Stroud, who I was not that high on, I have to admit. In the draft, I thought he was going to be okay. I didn't think he was going to be that good of a quarterback in the NFL. He proved me and a lot of others wrong. I think I was in the same camp with a lot of people. Browns 2.5-point favorites, over under 44.5. These lines are current as of like 15 minutes ago. So Ian, thoughts on this game?
Well, first thing, I think when you look at this and you go back and you say you lose Deshaun Watson, you lose Nick Chubb, where was Amari Cooper at the beginning of the year? Elijah Moore, nothing. What do they have? They got that bread and butter defense. And that's truly what's made them who they are right now. Because Joe Flacco's, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's slinging it. But when you sit back and you look at this team outside of their defense, what do they have? I mean, their defense is stacked. I mean, you just go around and look at it, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, Amari Cooper, you know, last time they played against the Texans, he went for 230-something yards. Flacco was throwing all day to him and twice on, you know, even when they didn't have the ball. And so when you look back and you say, you know, what's good, what's not, when you look at the Texans, though, and what that kid's done, I agree with you. I was kind of on the fence of him as well. You know, you heard a lot of stories, but nowadays you hear so much about that's just people talking on the back end, so the players will drop, hopefully. Everyone said, oh, he's not a very intelligent kid. That kid, at least when he's on the football field, he's got a lot of smarts. The ball he throws to be able to move in and out of the pocket the way he does. I got a brother that's a Texans fan, and who, you know, we've watched him play a few times, and just his ability to take a team like that was supposed to do nothing. You know, in reality, when you get back and you look at that and you say, oh gosh, you know, how did he get here? He played for Ohio State, yes, but how is he throwing a ball? You're talking about a kid that threw for 4,100 yards and 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. That's crazy. You got guys like Pat Mahomes throwing 14. You got Josh Allen throwing 18. This kid threw 5 interceptions. And he made Nico Collins a multi-millionaire this year alone, didn't he?
He also made him win the fantasy league because of Nico Collins.
Yeah,
I scooped him late in the draft, and he was
what a
number
steal!
one.
What a steal, right? So, you know, I mean, if you're looking at stats, I mean, you look at Amari Cooper had 72 catches for 1,250 yards. I would have never thought that. What a sneaky 1,250. You know, obviously using Chubb was huge. I mean, everybody drafted Chubb in the first round, in the first 6 picks, right? And that guy goes down, and you grab, luckily, Kareem Hunt off the scrap heap, another guy, and then you pair him up with Ford. Ford had 813 yards rushing, and he was hurt half the time. The little guy got just beat up. But, you know, running the ball, the Texans, they do okay with Singletary. He had 800 and something yards rushing, you know. But truly, I think what this is going to get down to is, can he sit in the pocket? He didn't play against Cleveland last time they played. Can he sit in there and do what he's doing against that defense? That's going to be the case. And can he stay healthy? I mean, you know, you might get hit quite a few times, and he's got to be willing to get up and get off the mat. So, now, I think this is the matchup. You know, obviously Vegas does too at a 2.5-point spread. You know, so I mean, even though Texans are at home, should be getting 3, so it's really 5.5. But I think this is going to be the game. It's going to come down. I'm not betting on this game. I wouldn't touch this game. I mean, this can go either way. It's probably one of the only ones that I think can really flip-flop. And you just know, it might come down to one play, which I think is going to be the best part of this game. And to kick, you know, the playoff season off with this game, hey, kudos to the NFL for putting this out there first.
Yeah, I agree with all the sentiments you said. I forgot about Ford. He's my boy. I picked him up off waivers in fantasy. He blessed me all year. So I have a lot to owe to these two teams for winning the fantasy league here because Collins and Ford were consistent. The rest of my guys, not so much. But looking forward to this battle that these guys are going to put on here. I think you brought it up, and here's where I sit on this game, right? I think the Browns are going to win. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. But I think what's going to come down to it in the end, the old saying, it is very cliche, but defense wins championships. I think defense is going to win this game, right? You brought it up. They have the number 1 overall defense. They're the number 1 overall passing defense. So, you know, they're going to make it kind of tough on C.J. Stroud and the entire receiver core. You know, Dalton Schultz at their tight end, he's been burning me personally as an Eagles fan for years. Right now he's in Houston. I think what they're going to have to do is run the ball, which is going to be an issue, right? Singletary is not the back he used to be. Even when he was decent, he wasn't great.
Serviceable, right? Serviceable.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's there. He'll get his every once in a while. He'll get you a couple yards. You know, I see him going for probably 60, 70 yards in this game just because they're going to have to run the ball against this defense. I think the pass is going to be struggling in the beginning. If I was a Texans head coach, I would try to run the ball in the beginning and make them respect the run and then try to open up the pass. But we'll see what happens. You know, Texans are very explosive. So, but I think the Browns defense is going to come out and play because offensively, they're pretty similar, right? They're both above average offenses. Neither one of them is great overall. Texans have a good passing offense, but that's going to be a moot point when you have the best pass defense in the league with the Browns, right? So I think this is going to be a very good game. I'm looking forward to this game. Like we said, right, this is our marquee matchup of the weekend. It's the first matchup of the weekend. Don't come talk to me on Saturday at 4 o'clock. I'm busy. Right?
Amen.
Layla comes and starts bothering me. Layla, go get your mother. I'm busy watching this game. Like I said, I think the Browns win this one, but I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to come down to a play, like you said, and you can hear it from me right now. Final drive of the game, fourth quarter. Your defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett will sack C.J. Stroud, and that will be the game-defining play. Right there.
You also have to look, though, at Ward, the cornerback from Denzel Ward from the Browns. He's going to match up against Nico Collins. You know, I love a good corner playing against a stud wide receiver. Let him go at it, just play, one-on-one, the old Jalen Ramsey days, right? And just let him take Richard Sherman. You take the right side, everybody else play on the left. Let's see what happens and be able to hammer it from there. But I think truly what we're looking at is, when you look at the stats, though, points scored. Cleveland, 23.3. Houston, 22.2. Yards passing, 217 to 245 for Houston. And then yards rushing, 118 to 97. But 20 points to 21 points. Talk about an even stacked, thanks, John, that, even stacked stats. But I agree with it. It's going to be one play in the fourth quarter where somebody does something and you say, that's the play. I agree with you.
I wouldn't be shocked if it is Ward with a big pass breakup or something on the outside to Nico over the top. I mean, he's been burning defenses all year long, so we'll see what happens. But I do think it's going to come down to a singular play late in the fourth quarter that's going to really define this game. And that's also why I'm so excited, is because the build-up to that is going to be great, right? This is going to be I want to say a heavyweight bout, blow for blow, but these two teams aren't really heavyweights, right? So we're talking I guess two lightweights, blow for blow, who don't really do it often. And then fourth quarter is going to be all right, who's going to pull this one out? Who is going to earn their paycheck, step up, and make the play that they need to make and cement themselves in either one of these teams' histories, right? It could just as well be the Texans making a great play on some side of the ball, and it's it could be a C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins connection that just Nico's that dude.
It could be him scrambling for a 15-yard on 3rd and 15. That kid scrambles and runs and gets 16 yards and gets the first down. Puts them in field goal range where they can tie the game. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those ones where you get up to get popcorn or go to the bathroom. You better do it during a timeout because something's going to happen in that last part. And then it's also going to get down to coaching, I think, right? You're talking about, not the most experienced coaches. What happens? How do you get your team ready for this type of game? Because it's different, right? You and I both know when it gets to playoff times. You could be the world's best coach, but if you don't get your team ready and get them excited about it, then you got to better watch out. So,
100%, I agree. All right, so do you have a pick on this game? I know you say you're not betting on it, but you gotta lean one way or the other.
So if I'm gonna play it on the line, I'm gonna take the Texans plus 2.5.
Okay.
But if I'm playing straight up, I'm taking the Browns. That's how close I think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be a field goal difference, 24-21 type, maybe 17-20, something like that is what I'm thinking on here. But I really think that, and Houston is so amped about this game. You saw what it was like for the national championship game when everybody was down there for that. I think this is going to be something that they know they're in a special place. Let's go make it happen. And the Browns are doing it with smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you. How are they 11-6?
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean,
Literally,
it's got to be good coaching there.
Yeah. All right. Next game up is what we on paper think is the best game. After looking at it, debatable. Chiefs and the Dolphins, right? Chiefs 4-point favorites. They're playing in Arrowhead. Over under 44.5. This is extremely low for these two teams, right? If these two teams played somewhere where it wasn't going to be like negative degrees outside, I think you see this over 50, possibly like close to 55. Right?
Well,
these two teams.
Yeah, and I think the problem is it's going to be 0 or negative degrees.
Yep.
So we know Miami can't play in that kind of crap. The one thing that really ticks me off here is the NFL sold the rights to this game to be on Peacock. Now, luckily, I'm a Peacock subscriber. But how ticked off are there going to be fans that can't watch this game? The bars are going to be happy because everyone's going to go to the bar and watch the game. But, I mean, here's a chance where, on paper, this should have been the AFC Championship game early in the year when people were talking about it. Now we're talking
100%.
now we're talking about, 3-6 seed. Realistically, the Dolphins could have been, if they would have won last week, the number 2 seed. And so it just goes to show you just how quickly things can change, right, in the NFL. And so, the Dolphins are coming limping in. They're losing so many players. They have 9 starters from the beginning of the year that won't be playing in this game. 9.
Yep.
That's an ungodly amounts of numbers. Now, hopefully they're going to get Waddle back. Hopefully they're going to get Mozart back. Mozart, he won me 2 fantasy leagues, or took second in them. Sorry, didn't win them, but took second in them. Because the guy had 18 touchdowns. I mean, come on. I mean, who would have expected that when the draft was going out? That guy was going way deep. A-Chain, I mean, here's your chance, big fella. You want to get in here, you're going to mix it up with Kansas City. Let's get it on. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got Kansas City that can't catch a cold. You got everyone talking about, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, my attention would be traded too if I was dating a billionaire. And as you look at this team, you look at Pacheco. I didn't know he rushed for almost 1,200 yards. And you look at the numbers. Yeah, and they had injuries, right? So I think they sat everybody last week to get ready for this game because they knew they were going to have a tough game going into this game. I think Arrowhead being 0 or -1 degrees, that's cold. That means they're going to have to run the ball. You got 2 teams that can run the ball. But then it takes away all their weapons. That takes away Tyreek Hill. That takes away Kelsey. Both these guys, they want to give it to each other, right? It's another. Tyreek Hill wants to come back to Kansas City and say, "You guys should have paid me. Should have paid me. Yeah, we should have paid you." Mm-hmm. Could you imagine with Tyreek Hill? they're unstoppable.
If they had Tyreek Hill right now, they'd be honestly probably 14-3, maybe 15-2.
Agreed. Because look at that guy's stats. That's 198 catches or whatever it is off the top of my head. I don't remember what it is, but he's another guy that showed. Everyone said he was like the 3rd receiver in fantasy taken. Ended up being the number 1 receiver and potentially an MVP candidate. If I had to vote for MVP this year, that's who I would vote for. Not Brock Purdy, not Lamar Jackson. I'd vote for that guy because you got Tua thrown to you, right? I don't think Tua is that great. I think, and his stats show it. If you have a team like that, when you've got Waddle on one side, who would be a number one receiver on a lot of teams, and was the number 1 receiver until they got Tyreek Hill, to be able all of a sudden now you look at it and you say, wow, man, here we go. But they're beat up. I don't know if they can hang with them. Again, this will be an interesting game, but I don't know if it's going to be the game we hoped it would have been 6-7 weeks ago, right?
100%, I agree. I think this game, like you said, 6 weeks ago, I'm all for it, right? This would be the game that, I'm not leaving the couch for. Now, and yeah, I might go to the bathroom during a play. Like, I don't really care that much. It's gonna be a good game still, right? You got two offensive. Well, the Dolphins are an offensive powerhouse. The Chiefs' offense is anemic, but you have the experience on their side, right? You got Patty Mahomes, who's played in pretty much the playoffs every year he's been in the league. You got Andy Reid, who is a well-seasoned coach, Hall of Fame coach, right?
Second most playoff wins.
Exactly. Wins. And I'm glad you brought up the Tua thing, right? I have not been high on Tua ever. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I'm an Alabama fan, right? I watched him there. Meh, all right, you're fine, but you're beating up on bad teams. You're throwing to Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and I don't even know who the third guy was. The guy who had cancer. Forget his name. He's on. I forget his name. It doesn't matter. Whatever. You got three guys who are in the NFL right now, and he was throwing all three of them. Right? Devonta Smith, if A.J. Brown wasn't there, he'd be the number one receiver. Same thing with Waddle. So, a bunch of number one receivers. The thing with Tua is he throws the ball to an area, and Waddle and Hill get there. Right? I mean, I could make Tyreek Hill would make me look like a great quarterback. I throw the ball past the defense, and he runs. That's it. Right? And if you look at the placement on a lot of Tua's passes this year, it's not good. And if you watch a quarterback actually break down his read of the defense, the actual throw, I mean, he gets it there, but it's not where it should be, right? How many catches this year? I wish they kept a stat on this. How many times has Tyreek looked over his right shoulder and then had to pivot back to his left shoulder? Or vice versa, right? The ball should be on one side and it's thrown to the opposite side of him. And he still gets there. Because it's Tyreek Hill.
Agreed. That's another reason why I think he was the MVP, right? Is that he made Tua look like a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yep.
Tua's in anywhere else, whether he's in Chicago or he's in, another marginal team, they would be booing that kid out of the world. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's a huge Dolphins fan, and he even says he stinks. I don't even like to watch him because he does. He floats a ball up, and you get guys that just know how to break on a ball. Now, give him credit. I mean, as much as you can give him credit when you look at it, you say, okay, he threw for 4,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Great. But you're doing that with, it's kind of like Seattle. I mean, I hate to bring Seattle up into this, but we've got three really good receivers. And so when Geno's throwing the ball, just get it in the right hands. Now, Metcalf drops a few. But I think, not to switch it up on you, but I think one of the things that really shocks me about Kansas City is for the first time in a long time, they got a stout defense. They're number 2 in yards, number 2 against sorry, I had to look it up, points scored, and they had 57 sacks this year.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that, but you got to love when Chris Jones got his sack, and $1.5 million sack, and he's doing a sack dance. That's what makes football fun right there, man. Is the guys knowing he's going to get paid by getting that. Geno lost out. If they would have made the playoffs, Geno would have got $2 million.
Yeah.
So,
That's true. Real quick, back to the Tua thing, because John put up a great comment. He's had 11 concussions and probably doesn't know what stadium he's in. That's a fact. In this game, right, I think what's going to come down to here, honestly, is the weather. Okay?
It's going to be cold.
I wish this was not in freezing temperatures and below zero temperatures, because if it wasn't, I think the Dolphins would be a no-brainer in this game for the sole purpose that they're just going to put up points, and I don't know if the Chiefs could compete with that. Even though the Chiefs' defense, like you mentioned, is very good this year, right? They're the number 2 overall defense. They're the number 4 passing defense, 17th against the run. I mean, they're really good this year. Number 2 scoring defense. They only let up 16.5 points a game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now the offense is only putting up 17, so they're barely squeaking wins by. But their defense is very good. And the Dolphins' defense is decent. It's not terrible, but they can't stop the run. So Pacheco's going to have a field day. I think Mostert and A-Chain are going to have a field day too. This is also going back to Tyreek Hill thing, right? I agree with you with the MVP conversation about him because, yes, he made Tua look like an MVP. But when you have to drop 2 guys on Tyreek and you still can't cover him, well, that opens up your run game, right? That also allows other guys to have good seasons. So Mostert and A-Chain wouldn't have had that good of a season if Tyreek wasn't just torching DBs all season long, right? There's so many times he's double covered, and there's also a linebacker shading on the short route in case he drops short because the corners are dropping so deep to try to catch him.
Yeah, they're running dime packages against him all the time. And so it's easy to rush for, Mozart gets 18 touchdowns because you got guys playing off the line in order to be able to stick with him and hit him across those crossing routes. Because he can turn a $10 crossing route into a 60-yard go route after he catches the ball.
Exactly.
The guy's so talented. I mean, I would love to see that guy, in a different uniform than the Dolphins.
I mean, in this game too, I'd love to see the Dolphins win. I'm actually rooting for the Dolphins in this game. I don't think they're going to win, unfortunately, for 2 reasons. One, the weather. I already mentioned it. And 2, they're going to get outcoached. Right? Andy Reid is going to put a coaching clinic on with Mike McDaniel, right? He's the young guy, whatever. They're not going to, unfortunately, they're not going to do well. Now, Tyreek is used to this weather, which is good for him, but nobody else is.
It's hard to throw a frozen ball.
It is. And it's hard to catch it, too.
Yeah.
Because it's so much harder. It's not pliable at all. So I think this game is going to be close. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I wouldn't be shocked if you see a Butker walk-off field goal with time running off the clock. This is a game I'm also not touching. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think Dolphins may cover, barely. But I think the Chiefs are going to do just enough to get this done. And it pains me to say it because I would be so thrilled to see Chiefs out in the first round. And the Dolphins are the one team in the NFL that I think that could do it. But in these conditions, I have to go with the Chiefs and Andy Reid. I'm not even going to say and Patrick Mahomes because, he can't run the ball the whole time. Pacheco can run it. Kelsey's going to have to catch the ball. Maybe not catch Taylor Swift's feelings, but, catch the ball. And, Tony, MVS, these guys... They drop everything. Like, you could give them triple the size hands, they're going to drop the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what Mahomes will take over this game. I think he'll will himself to be able. Remember last year when he was all beat up and he's running for first downs. I think he's going to will them to at least win this game. I don't know if they'll get past this game. I think they're going to win this game too. But I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm thinking this game's going to be 17-14, something like that. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. And I think, now, could it go up and then drop down? Sure, because the hype of just playing in this game is going to be big. But, as you go back and you look at, on the defensive side of the ball for the Dolphins, it's crazy. You got Chubb, the number 1 pass rusher for them, out. The number 2 pass rusher for them, out. They are struggling on defense. And if the Chiefs guys can catch anything, Mahomes is going to have to put it like, right in someone's football helmet, where it sticks out of someone's helmet to be able to have a chance. But I agree with you. I'm taking the Chiefs. I think it'll be a close game. I'm saying 17-14, so the Dolphins would cover if that's the case. But, that could also be 21-17 real quick as well. So, I think it's going to come down to the Chiefs' defense is not something to joke about. And I think special teams is another thing. That kick returner from the Chiefs kid, he's fast. I would. If I was those guys, I'd put Tyreek Hill in the back and let him catch every punt and run. Just tell him go. That might be it. But if we're getting down to coaching, you're talking about the new generation against Gen X. Maybe he's a boomer. I don't know how old Andy Reid is, but
old enough to be in retirement home.
Exactly. But you're talking about the guy who's right now the best coach in the NFL, I think, and so do you. I mean, you and I have had discussions about that. We think Andy Reid, just the way he's able to, to take what he learned from Holmgren and all those guys that were in the Holmgren tree, and how he's been able to change that and just heighten it even more. He knows how to get people ready for games. I mean, the guy, this is not a big game for him, and he's going to, get people grounded. Where on the other side, I think that they're going to get a little hyped up, and they're going to find out it's cold. I mean, being 0-degree temperature is cold. You better hope there's not a wind chill factor or where they're really hurting. That ball just freeze up. But I agree with that. I'm not a big fan of this game. I mean, I might turn it on the last quarter just to see what's going on. But, we'll see for sure.
Yeah, well, again, you also brought it up before. It's on Peacock, so if you don't have Peacock, you got to go somewhere to watch the game. The game that should be on Peacock is what we're going to get up to next, which is the Steelers and the Bills.
Yes.
But, it is what it is. I also have Peacock, so I'll be watching the game. I won't be enjoying it, but I'll be watching it. All right, this game, I don't want to spend too much time on this game. This game is a disaster, in my opinion. I don't think this game's going to be remotely close. The game's in Buffalo. Not that matters. They can play in Pittsburgh. Buffalo will still absolutely demolish this Steelers team. For a couple of reasons, okay? The stats, they're not even remotely close, right? The Steelers offense, 25th overall, 21st overall defense. The Bills offense is 4th overall, 9th overall defense, right? The Bills have been looking absolutely incredible as of late. They've looked so good. They were, 6-6? And then now they're 11-6. I mean, they've been playing... Yeah, they've been playing every game like it's their last, because it really has been almost, right? They've had to win, and they've done it, and it's been impressive. This game here, the Bills are 10-point favorites. I think they cover this easily. I don't even think this game's close. I see the Bills winning by 17, maybe more. I think this game's over at the half. I really don't think the Steelers can even have a chance in this game. The only chance they would have had is if T.J. Watt could get some pressure on Josh Allen. With T.J. Watt being out now, they're not going to do anything. This is a funeral, this game. I'll be honest with you. I gave you the overall stats, but, in terms of yardage, right? The Steelers put up 300 yards on average in a game, total offense. Bills are putting up 375.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking a whole football field worth of difference there.
Yeah.
That's big.
And 7 more points. They're averaging 7 more points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot when you look at other teams. And I mean, you go back and you look at these records and you look at 11-6, 10-7. Gosh, I mean, I can believe 11-6, but 10-7 for Pittsburgh. I watched them in person.
They're not a 10-7 team.
Yeah, no, they're not.
You brought up the 7 points with just the yards alone. I mean, if you look at their average points scored, the Steelers are barely getting 18 a game. They're 17.9.
17.9, yeah.
Bills are putting up 26.5. So, I mean, we're looking at, what's that, 8.5 point difference? That's 2 scores right there.
Yeah.
So that's why the line is where it is. This is also why I don't think this is going to be close, because those stats, their defensive stats, the only hope they've had on defense is the fact that T.J. Watt's been getting the quarterback. Yes, some other guys have been getting there, but T.J. Watt, you have to cover him.
He's a game
Without
changer.
him there, I mean, they're not touching Josh Allen.
Yep. Well, there's a reason why T.J. Watt's making $20 million a year, right? Because the kid can ball. He's they just got it in their genes. Dad and mom must have blessed them with the right genes. But I agree with you. The Steelers, they can run the ball. They got a 2-headed attack with Warren and with Najee Harris. I mean, they're physical, but I think they match up well. I mean, defensive-wise, the Bills do against the run. And so when you go back, you got probably the best quarterback right now playing in Josh Allen. last 6 weeks. Kid is a beast. You know, he's leading the NFL. I think I saw that they're leading one where he's got the most 300 yards passing with 50 yards worth of rushing. The guy's, he has 39 touchdowns. Where what are they? How many has he thrown? 29 of them. So I mean, the guy is he's a beast. And you got, Cook running the ball out of the backfield. That's another guy. Talk about a guy that made some people some fantasy money this year. The guy had, he only had 2 touchdowns, but he rushed for 1,100 yards, plus a ton of catches. Diggs wants to tell everybody, hey, don't forget about me. I know there's CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson and Chase and all these guys, but don't forget about me. He had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, almost 1,200 yards. I agree with you. I think this is going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be as big as you do. I think it's going to be about a 14-point swing there. I'd be surprised if the Steelers score more than 10 points. I think it's going to be like 24-10. That's what I'm thinking. But I agree with you. I think this is going to be a boring game. I don't know why they didn't put this game on Peacock.
Yeah. I mean, this game's the 1 o'clock game on Sunday, so that's, I guess, the worst time slot, maybe other than Monday night, even though Monday night's prime time. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. But, I'm in the same boat where I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I mean, the Bills' offense, their passing offense, if Josh Allen alone has scored more touchdowns than the entire Steelers team as a whole. So that says enough right there, I think. This is just a terrible game. All right. Now to your game that you don't like, that I would be very pleased to see a certain result, but I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. Cowboys-Packers going to Jerry World in Dallas. Cowboys are 7.5-point favorites. Over-under 50.5. Second highest over-under. It's not the highest. This is the second highest. Two decent teams. Cowboys looked really good this year, not going to lie. They've had moments where they've looked terrible, but the Packers came on strong. Jordan Love, I don't know if you saw this. Jordan Love threw for more yards, more touchdowns, and less interceptions than Aaron Rodgers did in his final year in Green Bay.
Yeah, he threw for almost 4,200 yards with 32 touchdowns and only 11 interceptions.
And who was
two receivers that you would... Christian Watson, his number 1 receiver, has played, 2 games the whole year?
He's been on my fantasy bench all year because he's been injured. And Jalen Reed.
Yeah.
Where did you come from, my guy? Props to you, though.
Yeah.
Because this guy, I don't even know, he wasn't on anyone's radar, I don't think. And every time I got a score alert from this game, is Reed catching the touchdown. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Well, I think another thing you got to look at, too, the saving grace for Green Bay right now, Aaron Jones has only played 3 games the whole year. Talk about a bust in fantasy, you know. He hadn't done nothing, and now he's got fresh legs. That's the only good part about it. They're going to have a chance to run the ball now because I think Dallas is going to sell out and try to sack, go sack happy like they always do on defense. But, they also are playing for McCarthy's job. If they lose this game, Dallas loses this game, McCarthy's done. I mean, you're already seeing Jones already say, hey, I'm not making any decisions until after the playoffs. I think these guys got to get in the NFC Championship in order for them to have a chance. But on the other side of the ball, you got Dak. Amazing year. What did he throw for? 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I mean, that's an MVP stat right there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you got CeeDee Lamb, who just crushed it. 135 receptions, almost 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns. Come on, that's sick, man. That's a connection like the old Rice to Montana days type stuff. So, I'm not impressed with the run game. You and I both, we've talked about Tony Pollard. Not a big fan of that. Seeing that, but. Here we go. I mean, Dallas is 16-0 at home in Jerry World. They got to lose at some point. How great would it be to have Green Bay beat them?
Yeah.
A team that skimped out to get in, had to win the last week and hope for other things to happen the week before. And the only 9-8 team in the playoffs. How great would it be to go down there and beat Jerry in Jerry's World and just shock Dallas Nation? Right, I think
I'd love to see it. It would make my year, and it's 10 days into the year.
100%.
Now, here's the thing, right? As much as I want that to happen, I can't in good conscience say it's going to happen, right? I really don't think it's going to happen. I think Dallas overpowers the Packers here significantly. All right, you look at all the stats, right? The Cowboys are 5th overall offense, 5th overall defense. You already mentioned Dak would have an MVP year if he wasn't the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL in terms of stats this year. Believe it or not, he's 3rd with those stats, right? CD Lamb, great. Tony Pollard has been an absolute bust. Terrible this year. And it pained me because I was so high on him to start the year. I thought this was going to be his, come to Jesus year this year. I thought he was going to ball out.
Everybody did. But you go back and you listen to everybody that was talking football back last July. They were all saying, oh, Tony Pollard, Zeke's finally out of the way. He's going to dominate. And every week you see people going, what's going on? Luckily, Dallas could throw the ball. And they threw the ball quite well. And I mean, to see, Dak kind of take that step after last year having not so good of a year to really step up. But all these guys here, this is a chatter. You have to do this. You have to. That's a lot of pressure to the youngest team in the NFL and the Packers. Packers are currently the youngest team in the NFL. That's why I think they might just be happy to make it to the playoffs and get that extra game check. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's another reason why I think Dallas has got a mission, and I think Jerry's made it very clear to everybody on that field, their mission is Super Bowl or bust. And so, as we get back, at least, when you get to the spread here, I'm looking at this, 7.5, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a little bit higher. I'm kind of surprised it's that low. I just think that, I don't think they have the firepower in Green Bay. Because if you look at Green Bay's side of the ball defensively against Dallas's defense, I mean, Micah Parsons alone, I think, probably had more sacks than everybody on Green Bay defense. And I mean, that guy loves to show up in primetime. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a sack or two against there because I think he just wants to show the world, hey, TJ Watt's good, but don't forget me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's kind of what that is. So
I agree. I think this game is actually going to be close in the beginning. I see this game pretty close at the half. The Cowboys are winning at the half, but it'll be close-ish. I think this is going to be a classic game where a lot of the Cowboys games have been this year. They've been close, and then fourth quarter comes around, and they just trounce the team. Right? I think that's what's going to happen. If you look back at the Cowboys, everybody's so high on their point differential. Please give me a break with that, all right? Look at the point differential. Look at their fourth quarter point differential. Their fourth quarter point differential is bigger than their actual point differential because they just blow teams out in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to happen again here. I don't know if it's going to happen in the fourth quarter. I think it might happen sooner for that sole purpose that I don't think that anyone on the Packers can keep up with this team. I think Micah Parsons is going to be eating Jordan Love for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think Jordan Love will be having nightmares this entire offseason of Micah Parsons in his face. Is what it is. Coverage-wise, I think the Cowboys actually cover the spread. Believe it or not, I would love to see the Packers win. I don't think they will. Cowboys win this game easily, and they do cover. And I like the over in this game too, believe it or not. But
it's a lot of points. That's a lot of points, especially in playoff time. I mean, you're talking about, you need Green Bay to score 20, 21 points. I don't know if they got 20, 21 points in them for this game. I really don't. I mean, look what they did against the Bears last week. What was that score? 13-6 or something like that?
Yeah, it was terrible.
17-6. I'm just saying they're not scoring a lot of points. And if Christian Watson doesn't play in that game and they don't have three decent wideouts to go up against Dallas, you're right. I think Micah Parsons is going to pin his ears back and go crazy on Jordan Love. If we could bet in Seattle, I bet you that's probably his sack total is 1.5. I would take the over on that.
I'll look it up for you right now while we're getting to the next game. I'll let you get there. JR asked, what's a strong 5-game parlay? We're going to get there. Bills and Cowboys money line would both definitely be in there. We'll get to the other, I guess, 3 picks here shortly. But let's pop to the next game, and I'll look up the the sack line for you while we're going. Lions, Rams. This game is going to be an absolute shootout. I'm so excited for it. Lions -3, over under 51.5. Let's hear it, Ian. What do you got?
Oh man, this is like we said when we started, right? My second favorite game, because you're talking about, two guys that swap spots because one said the other one couldn't get him to the Super Bowl and they got him to the Super Bowl, right? You're talking about great receiving cores with Cooper Kupp on one side, and on the other side you're talking about Amon St. Brown, who I like. I think he's a stud. You're talking about two coaches. Dan Campbell, man, I love that guy. When the Dallas game and they got screwed, they should realistically be 13-4. They got screwed on that call, and I love how passionate that guy is around his team, and he just, how much they jump behind him and want to do it. And to see Goff do what he's done when he was told by the Rams, hey, you suck, we're going to give you up to the Lions to go get Matt Stafford. I mean, if these two teams could have met in the NFC Championship, what a storyline that would have been. But you go back and you start looking at things, look at Williams, the running back. Nobody expected that guy. Talk about another fantasy guy that won fantasy people money. He rushed for almost 1,200 yards. You got Puka Nacua, 105 catches. You kidding me? Almost 1,500 yards. That's crazy. So and then the defense, they're healthy on the Rams side of the ball. Aaron Donald's not the only one there right now. He is in the twilight of his career, but he's getting a lot of help as well. I think Montgomery running the ball for the Lions, rushed for over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. They love to feed him the ball down there, but they also like to do that with Jay Williams last year when he scored a ton of touchdowns. So when we get back to this and you look at it, I mean, Kupp, not a lot of tread from this year on him, right? He's finally starting to feel comfortable again. I think what's really going to hurt the Lions is if Laporta doesn't play. That kid has just dominated. They gave up Hawkinson. He goes and, Pro Bowler at Minnesota, right? Quote me if I'm wrong, but I think he went to Minnesota and got hurt in Minnesota.
Yep.
But here's this kid to come in, and then Aiden Hutchinson. I love that kid. Him and Bosa.
Dang.
Could you imagine those two on the same team? It would be havoc. Just havoc watching those guys. So realistically, they're playing in Detroit. Detroit's beatable there. The Seahawks beat them there. Just want to put that in there. But this is going to be the scoring game. You're 100% correct. We're going to sit back with some barley pops and popcorn, and you're going to watch some scores go up on this. This game is going to be one that, hold on tight, because this might be a 35-32 score. Realistically, there's the capabilities of that. I think one of the things when you look at it, you say, pretty evenly balanced teams. Now, the Lions haven't played as well lately. They've struggled to get in. They did get screwed by Dallas, on that call. But when you look at their stats, you're talking about, points scored 23.8 for the Rams, 27 for the Lions. Passing yards, 239 to 258. Rushing yards, 120 for the Rams, 135 for the Lions. 22 points scored against, 23 points for the Lions. Man, that's just, this has all the makings of a great game. Now, obviously, the Cleveland Texan game just had a little more spice for me. But like I said at the beginning, this is something I'm really going to look forward to. One, the Seahawks have played them both. We lost twice to the Rams. I think Sean McVay is a genius. I'd love to have him come to Seattle. I know it's not going to happen. But, when you sit back and look at this and you go, okay, what is the game to watch? Great. Sunday night, prime time. This is the game that they're looking for. And I sure hope they wear those new helmets that they wore. The Lions, did you see those blue helmets?
See them.
Those were tight, man. I got a buddy of mine that's from Detroit. He was texting me pictures of their their game, and I was like, man, where did you guys come up with those? So it's going to be interesting, man. I think this is going to be this. I mean, Lions are getting 3 points because they're the home their home team. That's how close everybody thinks this game's going to be. I think we're going to have an awesome game here. I think this is going to be something where it's going to be a shootout. I don't think there's going to be a ton of defense. Don't be surprised if Cooper Kupp goes absolutely nuts because everyone's talking about Puka, hey, over here, look at this rookie. Don't sleep on Coop, man. They say he's finally injury-free. Last week when he was, they sat everybody. But, I mean, this is going to be a game where I think the 50-51 over-under, I think that's beatable right there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so quickly getting to that 5-team parlay, right?
Yeah,
I said Bills, right? I can't even. The Bills, the Cowboys. I like the Chiefs, right? We were talking about that.
We took the Chiefs.
In this game, it's the over.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Right? So it's not 5 teams, but it's 4 teams, and I like this a lot better than adding a 5th team in there. But Chiefs money line, Bills money line, Steelers or Cowboys money line, and the over in this game is plus 316 if you put them together.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah. There you go. Put 10 down on that.
For you, Jay, but
yeah, Jay, put $10 down on that, and then we'll expect some drinks next time we get together.
10.
I'll just say it. 317. Oh, look at you. I love it. Oh, look at him sporting the honeys. Making it rain.
Throw it out there.
Come on, Pac-Man Jones. Come on, Pac-Man Jones.
This isn't prop money for anybody who's going to call me out. Layla, relax.
Yeah, but
she likes that bet so much. She's going nuts.
Yeah, the over on that I think is the right play too. That's a high scoring over/under 51, but I think this is going to be there's going to be a lot of open people that get across the middle. Again, I think the only thing I'm afraid of is you get how many points is too much, right? Somebody's going to have to break down and play some defense. Do you go with the skilled vets or the guys that are, happy to be there? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm gonna.
Oh, you're all right. Yeah, no kidding. So, let's see.
This game, right? You already went over a lot of the stuff while I was looking up the stat for you. It's 1.5 sacks, 4.5 tackles for Micah Parsons. I like both of those.
Oh my gosh, I like both of those. They're over on both of those.
Yeah, the 4.5 to me is like a gift.
That's a gift. I mean, you look at
tackles,
yeah,
or an assist.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah. Well, the problem is, most likely those will have to be, tackles for loss or sacks because the guy's going to spend all day in the backfield. I think. I don't think.
Yeah, 100%.
No offensive line's going to be able to hold him up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go over all the things you went over already, but I think Kupp's gonna have a good day. Puka Nacua is an absolute stud. Kyron Williams has been an absolute unit this year, but for the Lions, right? I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the forgotten one, I'm gonna call him.
How did that guy? Sorry to interrupt you, man. How did that guy not get into the Pro Bowl?
I don't know. I don't know, and I don't agree with it.
I mean, look at his stats. He had 119 catches for 1,515 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah. I don't know how he didn't make it to the Pro Bowl. That's why I'm calling him the forgotten one, because everybody always is talking about, right, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, which is generous at this point. CeeDee Lamb, rightfully so, all these guys. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is consistently forgotten. He's had great seasons back to back to back. He doesn't even have an off year. Even when he was injured, I think it was last year, he was injured for a couple of games. He still was like a top 10 receiver with the injury, missing 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Like everyone forgets about him, and I think he needs his kudos because he's that dude. I think he goes for a tutty in this game.
Can I ask you a quick question? Do you think it's because Goff is his quarterback that he doesn't get the respect?
I think it's because he's on the Lions.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. Because we're talking about the guys who are in the top echelon of wide receivers. We're talking about CeeDee Lamb on the Cowboys, A.J. Brown on the Eagles, right? Tyreek Hill on the Dolphins, Stephon Diggs. Amon-Ra has better stats in almost every category than Stephon Diggs does, but we're still taking Stephon Diggs over Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're looking at teams that are, in the past few years, have been very good. They're watchable. They're at the top of their divisions, and that's what these guys are getting. Amon-Ra is consistently forgotten, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you. The guy is just, so talented, and I get it. CeeDee Lamb had 135 questions. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, I know Amon St. Brown sat out a game and a half, too. So if you add that in, it's still not the same. But when you go back and you're looking at these teams that have receivers, that are top receivers that are in, look at Puka on the other side. He was, a guy that was, 105 catches for 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns. Come on, he had 10 touchdowns and 1,500 yards. I just don't get it. I felt no wonder why the guy was like mad and was like posting stuff all over social media. I would have too. Just show me a little respect and let me show you guys what I'm able to do. Now, that's why I think he might have an itching to go off on Sunday.
Look at him last week.
Yeah.
He scored two touchdowns last week and had over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Balled out.
Yeah.
And this game, again, shootout. This game, there's going to be no defense in this game. It's going to be touchdown. If you like betting on anytime touchdown scorers, this is your game to do it in, right?
No kidding.
Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Nakua, Kupp, Kyron Williams. Hell, parlay 3 of those guys together, you're probably going to hit.
That's 100%, man.
You could make your picks throwing them at a dartboard in this game.
Yeah.
So. All right. Final game of the weekend. Oh, wait. We didn't say. Who do you think's winning this game?
Oh, man.
Besides the fans.
Besides us sitting at home watching it. I'm going to take, everybody that I've listened to and talked to about this game, everyone's taking the Rams. I'm not saying that because the Rams are in the NFC West. I just think that Campbell and what he's preaching to those guys will run through a wall for that guy. Now, they did the same thing McVay when they won the Super Bowl, right? Everybody would do whatever McVay said to win the Super Bowl. And I think, not that the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, but I think a lot of the players respect that guy enough to where they're going to play hard at least to try to win one playoff game. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking the Lions. But I hate giving up the 3 points. So
Yep. I agree. No, I think the Lions squeaked this one out again. My play in this one, I like the over. Love the over here.
Yep.
But or if you like the team totals over, you could hit both of those because I think this game goes over easily. Like the Lions to win it in an absolute shootout. And for our final game, I don't even want to talk about this game if I'm honest with you. And I think you know why.
Come on, don't be an athletic supporter. Come on.
All right. The Eagles and Tampa Bay. Believe it or not, the Eagles are the 5th seed. They blew it. They're going to Tampa Bay to play this game. They're 3-point favorites in Tampa Bay. A lot of people have a problem with this line, and I don't understand why they have a problem with this line. The eye test may give you a slight problem with this line because the Eagles have been playing piss poor the past few weeks. But if you take a look at the stats and stuff, the line makes a lot of sense. So, Monday night game here, right? Primetime game. When I heard that, I actually got happy. Because the Eagles in primetime, a lot better than playing Sunday afternoon. So, this made me very happy to see this. But I'll give you the homer take first, and then we'll let Ian give you the actual information first. Again, not excited. The Eagles have been my just source of a lot of pain for the past few weeks. because I've been in a lot of these games. I was at the Seattle game. I was at the Cardinals game. I've been in a lot of these games, and it's been painful. Overall, though, Eagles are eighth in offense, right? Putting up almost 355 yards a game. They're passing well-ish, not great, but their rushing has been phenomenal. DeAndre Swift coming over to Philly has been great. You got two. I think they got one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL, if you ask me. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith together, great. Add Dallas Goedert in there. You got a three-headed monster to catch balls. Defensively, they've been struggling as of late, right? They're 26th overall in defense. They got the worst, or second worst passing defense in the league. Their secondary cannot cover anything. Anybody could run on that team. But the Bucs are not anything special, right? The Bucs are 9-8. I don't think they deserve to be here, really. They barely won their division. The Saints could have won that division. I think the Saints are a better team than the Bucs are. 23rd overall offense, 23rd overall defense. Defensively here, we're not talking about a huge discrepancy in how good the defenses are. I think Jalen will get his mojo back. Hopefully, A.J. Brown is healthy enough to play. He should be. Jalen Hurts has a fractured finger on his throwing hand. But I think he'll be fine.
Did you see that finger? Did you see that finger? It was nasty.
Well, I was pissed off because they should have pulled all the starters out of the game 3 drives before that, but whatever. This is going to pain me to say this game should be a blowout. It's not going to be. It's going to be a close game. The Eagles win last minute, field goal, Jake Elliott. I think Jake Elliott is going to be the MVP of this game. He's going to kick like 6 field goals in this game because the Eagles can't score in the red zone. Even though if you look at their rankings, they're one of the better red zone teams in the league somehow, but that factors in field goals. I think the Eagles win this game. I think they cover, but that's because I'm a homer, and they're going to cause me a lot of pain Monday night.
Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody what a champ you were, and your better half that showed up. You guys both took that Seahawk beating. John and I over Pro Craps enjoyed that game tremendously with you guys. So thanks for coming out and
thank you for having us. It was a blast.
Having it out. It was fun to have you guys out here and be able to do that. So first of all, I think you're beating your team up. Now, 11-1 or 10-1 to start the year, and then 1-5 over the last 6 games. That's terrible, right? Yeah. Just terrible.
And against bad teams.
And 100% and against bad teams. But I also think when you get back and get this. They got to, the Bucs are happy to be there. Let's be honest. I don't think there's any fans that will even, would be surprised if the Eagles came out and won by 10, right? Mm-hmm. I think, but where I think the Bucs might exploit the Eagles, there's going to be between Godwin and Evans against your defensive backs that, like you said, are the second worst in the NFL. Mike Evans is a beast, man. 1,255 yards this year. 8, 10 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns again, double-digit touchdowns again. There's a guy right there that you just look at and it's like, man, that's a quiet, big man putting up some points. But if you look at the stats, it's not even close. I mean, you're talking about the Eagles that average 25.5, Bucs average 20.5. That's a 5-point difference, and that's a touchdown right here. Now, yards passing, right around the same. You're looking at 225 to 224, but then there's a 40 yards difference on running the ball. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's going to win the Eagles the game. They're going to run the ball.
Yep.
And they're going to be very effective. I don't know what the over-under is on that rushing the ball, but I bet you it's probably right around 115. I bet you that's where they're going to be, 115, 120. Gaineswell ran the ball extremely well on Sunday.
He did. Rashad Penny made an appearance.
It shocked me. I was floored. I didn't even know he was still on your guys' team. So, that was a guy who was so
first time all year he suited up.
That's crazy, that does it. But I think what's going to separate these two teams is that you have a championship caliber team versus a team that's a makeshift team that's trying to get into the playoffs. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, don't take anything away from Baker Mayfield, man. That guy threw for 4,000 yards. I was like, what? You know? And I mean, now Rachaad White can run the ball. I mean, that guy, he's almost 1,000-yard rusher, you know? So I think there's a lot there. A lot of it's going to be is how healthy is AJ and Jalen. That's it. Because those two alone could take over this game, and it could make it a 10, 12-point difference if both of those two guys are healthy or can do what they need to do. You know, nothing better than playing in Tampa. You know, I mean, you know the weather's going to be decent. It might rain, but other than that, I think you're going to be clear. I think you're taking a little bit away from the Eagles. I think the Eagles cover this. I think they win by 7. I think that, you know, a lot of people got paid performance bonuses on the Bucs for making it there. One of them was Baker Mayfield. I'm happy for that kid to play in 4 teams, you know, being the number 1 draft pick, and seems to be always the guy getting pushed off. There's a lot of talk at one point of him coming out to Seattle as well. But I think the Eagles are here to take care of business. I think they're tired of hearing about all the negativity. Now, you might be right, too. This might be, you know, an Elliott field goal with 3 seconds left from 42 yards out. Could definitely be that. But I just think the Bucs, they're gonna mix that, you know, they're gonna try to do whatever they can to throw smoke and mirrors to get the long pass down to Godwin. They might score once or twice, but I don't see much more than that. I think the Eagles will win by 7 in this situation. I think what's going to happen next week is we're going to have somebody else on here next week after you guys win this game and have her singing a little song. I think she owes you a little song. And I think
she owes me something more at this point.
I think so,
over
too.
A year. But
yeah,
it's funny. All the sports books don't have lines for the Eagles rushers. They have lines. I checked 4 different sports books. None of them have lines up right now. I guess they're still.
Well, Swift was injured. Yeah, wasn't Swift kind of whether or not?
Yeah, he has an illness last week. He didn't play. So Gainwell and Penny were the backs last week. He's fine. He will be fine.
Yeah.
I think they're being cautious with these lines on some of the sports books, if I'm honest with you.
What a smart move by the Eagles, though. To give up on Sanders, a guy that actually, for the worst team in the league, was an inactive guy at the end of the season. To go get Swift, who was a throw-off from the Lions, and to carry them. I mean, that guy, there was 2 or 3 games where he just, I mean, was it like the first or second game of the year he had 178 yards rushing or something like that?
Second game of the year. They didn't run the ball at all in the first game.
Yeah, it was crazy. You know?
He didn't play in the first game.
That's right.
Gainwell was our starting back in the first game.
Yeah.
Second game, he just goes out and shows you why he's DeAndre Swift. I mean, I've been high on him. He's a local kid, right? He ran track against my brother.
Oh, did he really?
So I've seen him run in person and just demolish high school kids. Like, he made them look silly. Kid's a unit, and I'm glad he's back in Philly. I think this game, again, right? I think they're going to win. You agree. It's just hard for me now because, like, I've been watching them lose to the Giants, lose to the Cardinals. But it's not even that they're getting beat. They're just doing stupid stuff and bad play calling, which is my problem with this. I think they win this game. I think they lose next round. I don't know who they're playing yet, obviously.
49ers. If they win, they got to play the 49ers.
Yeah, so you know what happened there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, the 49ers
we already saw that one.
Super Bowl.
We already saw that one. Well, what do you think about the over-under in this game of 43.5? I think that's an interesting number.
Under.
I would probably lean that way, too. I'm thinking, like, you know.
I don't bet unders.
20 to 17.
To bet unders.
Yeah.
But, this game, listen, the Eagles, like, if you look at the stats, right, you mentioned them. If I pull up my things, right, like, you know, the Bucs are letting up 20 points a game. Eagles have been letting up 25 as of late. You're right around that number.
Yeah.
Scoring-wise, you're right around that number again. I think the problem here is, though, if you watch the Bucs the past few weeks, the Bucs' offense has been terrible. Right? I mean, they played the Cardinals and put up 9 points against the Cardinals, Panthers, who have one of the worst defenses in the league, if not the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
And they put up 9 points. Now, I know that, you know, it's the Panthers, and they didn't have to do much to win, but still, like, you have the division on the line, and you're playing a bad team, and you put 9 points up.
Yeah.
That's concerning to me as a Bucks fan, if I was a Bucks fan.
100%.
So.
Yeah. I mean, would it surprise you if it was a 31-10 score?
No, not at all.
Me neither. It
Like,
really would.
This is the game, and this is also what makes it hard for me, right? Is that this game could and should be 31-10. Has any Eagles game been a blowout this year? Besides, funny enough, the Dolphins, who were the number 1 team in the league at the time, and they came crashing down to earth.
Yeah.
But against this team, it should be 31-10. I am similar to you. I see this as like I don't know, even like a 23-20, 23-17 type game. I think the Bucks are going to score because anybody can score on the Eagles defense. I don't think they're going to score a ton. Hopefully Slay is back. He's supposed to be.
Yeah, that'll be huge if you can get that back. If you can get Slay back, that's huge.
Yeah, because otherwise we have nobody. Like Reed Blankenship is our. I mean, he's Pro Bowler this year, but
yeah,
that's like a sympathy vote.
Yeah, got to put somebody in, right?
Yeah, literally, right? You got to give somebody a chance, and you can't give James Bradbury because that dude can't cover someone in a wheelchair.
Yeah, no kidding. Oof.
So,
well, man, I hope Monday night is good for you. I'm sure we'll be texting, my friend.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm excited about some of these games, and some of them just like you, man. I don't care. Right?
Yep.
Let's get to the next round where things get interesting. We get down to the real teams. You and I both feel like it's going to make a difference. Elite Eight. Let's get down. Let's go see some good games next weekend. But you know, it's part of it. You guys, they got in there. You know, teams that got in, Packers, Bucks. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what it is.
Congratulations, right? Congratulations. I mean, when you look at it, it's like Steelers. Yeah. Well, great.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Like
yeah.
those 3 teams, again, like we said, right? There's 6 games this week. I think 2 of them are really bad games. One of them is a specifically bad game with the Bills and the Steelers. I'll quickly recap what we said for everybody who's just tuning in now. First game up, Browns-Texans. We think this is going to be the game of the weekend. Not going to be like the scoring game of the weekend, because if you want that, that's the Rams-Lions game. But from a football watching perspective, that's the game of the weekend. Browns slight edge there, but could come down to either team. Chiefs-Dolphins, we both want the Dolphins, but our football knowledge tells us the Chiefs are going to win this game because of coaching and weather. The Bills and the Steelers, that game shouldn't even be played. Like, they should just not even play the game. They should call it off. Cowboys, Packers, Cowboys cover and win. Lions and Rams, absolute shootout. Slight edge towards the Lions, but just overall high-scoring game. And then Eagles and Bucks, both like the Birds in that game. So that brings us to the end of our show. Wild card covered. Number 1 in the pick'em, number 2 in the pick'em. Hopefully, we'll go 6-0 here. I don't know. We'll see.
Would love it.
But we'll be back next week to discuss some actual matchups.
For sure.
I think there's a couple actual matchups here, but not many.
Yeah. 2 out of the 4, or 2 out of the 6. You know what I mean? It's like 2 of those are ones where you got to get in and look at the stats. The other ones, if you watch football on Sunday, you can pretty much make a decision. And then 2 of them, you could look at it and say, who cares? We know who's going to win.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Ian, appreciate you being here. Everyone in chat and who's watching, thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back next week to break down the next slate of matchups. Hopefully, the teams we picked win. And we'll be talking about them again. If not, well, maybe we'll have some good stories to tell from this. And maybe I will not be going to work on Tuesday because of my Monday night.
For sure.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, and good luck this weekend if you're betting. Don't forget, don't bet more than you can afford to lose, and we will see you soon.